Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michael. Today we have Golden Time, and this one is for you, Independence Reno. Alrighty, so Golden Time looks like it was directed by Chiaki Kon, written by Fumihiko Shimo, music by Yukari Hashimoto. Originally aired on MBS Tokyo, ran from October 3rd, 2013 to March 27th of 2014. Total of 24 episodes in the series. Looks like it also had a video game as well with it. So they were doing pretty well. Episode 1 is called Springtime. So we have Banri Tada, a freshman law student at Tokyo University. He's arriving late for his entrance ceremony. Not knowing how to get to the university, he discreetly follows two other students and meets Mitsuo Yanagisawa, another freshman, who quickly befriends him. As they make their way to orientation, they are greeted by a beautiful young woman who, who presents Mitsuo with a bouquet of roses and then proceeds to smack him with them before leaving. Mitsuo later explains that the woman is Koko Kaga, his childhood friend and arranged fiancé, whom he has run away from as he does not reciprocate her feelings. After orientation, Banri and Mitsuo learn that Koko was also a student at the university, much to Mitsuo's horror. He's like, oh shit. She becomes acquainted with Banri during a shared class, and he soon becomes smitten with her. After class, Banri meets and befriends freshmen Chinami Oka and Linda, a second-year student and member of the Japanese Festival Culture Research Club. On his way home, he once again runs into Koko, who uses his phone to locate Mitsuo, but upon returning it, he notices the phone number for a hospital, causing him to remember a time when he was on a bridge and was seemingly run over by a motorbike. Episode 2 is called A Lonely Girl. So Banri has a dream of himself, apparently injured, fleeing from a hospital, but upon awakening, cannot remember any more than that. Arriving at the university gates this next morning, he meets Koko, who is, again, waiting for Mitsuo, and the two talk more. He notices that Koko seems lonely without Mitsuo. Later that night, he tells Mitsuo about Koko, but Mitsuo brushes it off, saying Koko is just acting lonely to get Banri to bring her to him. Basically, the sympathy card. To brighten the mood, Mitsuo invites Banri to the film club's welcoming party, where club member Chinami gets Mitsuo to join. The party is soon crashed, however, by the Tea Club's party, who drag Banri off to join in their festivities. He meets a new friend, Takaya Sato, named Nejigen. I think that's remember how it's pronounced. The next day, Banri notices that Koko has still not made any new friends and encourages her to join a club. Another student overhears them and invites the two to a cafe to tell them about her club, which lasts until dark. She invites them to her club's overnight trip to see if they were willing to join. Still wanting to help Koko, Banri decides to accompany Koko whenever she agrees to go as well. So, just so as to not leave her alone, basically. Episode 3 is called Night Escape. On the day of the scheduled club trip, Banri meets with Koko and Nejigen, who are also invited. Whenever the club members arrive to pick up the attendants, Banri becomes suspicious of them whenever he notices that they all wear a similar pendant, and more so whenever they bring the group to a remote location. The club then reveals itself as a cult, recruiting Banri's group to join them. Banri convinces them to let the others go whenever he tells them that he suffered an accident after high school that gave him amnesia and everything from everything before starting college, and that they could help him. As the others leave, Koko decides to stay with Banri, and the two ultimately escape and hide in the woods. As they hide, Banri and Koko bond by getting to know more about one another. Koko reveals that she was actually a nice person and only acts stuck up around Mitsuo due to her feelings for him, while also confessing that she really was just using her friendship with Banri to get closer to Mitsuo, exactly like he thought. Banri, in turn, reveals that his story about having amnesia was not a lie, and that he feels that his family and friends want the current him to disappear and have the old him return. While he sympathizes with their wishes, he does not want to lose his current self. Whenever the pair hear the cult members looking for them, they flee further into the forest and the woods until they find Linda, or until they are found by Linda. So we have episode 4, aired October 24th of 2013, titled Blackout. So after Linda finds them, she explains that she is going out on a club retreat with the festival club and brings Banri and Coco to their campsite. After returning, Banri is greeted by Nijigen, Mitsuo, and Shinami, who are all relieved to know that they're all right. Later, during a break, Banri, Mitsuo, and Shinami get together to talk, but they are interrupted by Coco, who begins to berate and belittle Shinami, causing Mitsuo to leave with Shinami and leaving Banri to confront a remorseful Coco. After class, the pair once again encounter Linda, who invites them to participate in one of the festival club's dance rehearsals. Banri decides to join. While Coco considers the idea, later that night, Mitsuo tells Banri he will settle things with Coco because he wants to pursue a relation with Shinami. And the next day, Mitsuo flatly rebuffs Coco's affection in front of Banri. Coco asks Mitsuo if their time together meant nothing to him, and Mitsuo replies that while he treasures their time together, he only sees her as a childhood friend. Coco angrily yells at him to forget their history, driving Mitsuo away. Coco yells at him to disappear, but realizes her words are hurtful to Banri, causing her to continuously apologize in tears after that. After a few hours, Coco and Banri are invited by a girl named Nana, most likely a reference to the Nana Osaki from the manga and the anime Nana, to her concert. Coco goes to vent her frustration, but is thrown out after climbing on stage and spends the night at Banri's apartment. Coco reveals that she needs him, while Banri confesses his love for her. After she leaves, she texts Banri, encouraging him to not forget about his lost memories, which motivates him to return to his home in Shizuoka, where he finds a scrapbook containing pictures of himself and Linda in high school together. Episode 5 is called Body and Soul. After finding the photo of him and Linda, Banri runs to the bridge where the accident occurred, but cannot remember more. The spirit of the 18-year-old Banri Tada watches him and explains that the fall caused his 18-year-old spirit and all his memories to leave his body, and that he cannot be seen or heard by the current Banri. After returning to school, Banri meets Coco, who gives him a mirror that matches hers to commemorate their friendship. The next day, Banri and Mitsuo run into Coco, who begins to act overly cheerful and dramatic about her friendship with Banri. Linda, who is helping Coco's register for classes, soon joins them and meets Mitsuo. While later inquiring about Coco and Banri's joining the festival club, Coco answers that both of them will join, while Banri wonders why Linda is not mentioned that she knows him from before. At their first dance rehearsal, Coco demonstrates that she cannot dance. She's horrible at it, which causes her to be depressed and cry. After calming down, she apologizes to Banri for her behavior and confesses that she is still recovering from being dumped by Mitsuo, who he reassures her is fine, but he reassures her that it's fine, and reaffirms their friendship by using the mirror he gave him. That night, Banri recalls the memory from whenever he escaped the hospital. He had seen a flashing light from his window, and whenever he snuck out to see what it was, he discovered it was Linda. As the two talk, she reveals that she was the one who inspired Banri to come to Tokyo. Banri wonders why Linda was not mentioned mentioned any of this to him, and his spirit of Banri laments that he cannot tell the current Banri how important Linda was to him. Episode 6 is called Yes, No. In a flashback, Banri confesses his love to Linda, and she agrees to tell him her response the following night on the bridge, where Banri would have his accident. Coco notices Banri's unusual behavior about Linda, but whenever she questions him, he denies that anything is wrong. Shinami finds the two and invites them to a party, but Coco declines out of dislike for Shinami. But this does not dissuade Shinami, who explains to Banri that she likes Coco. Banri convinces Coco to attend alongside Mitsuo and Nijigen, but Coco and Mitsuo end up arguing with Shinami, which ends with Mitsuo confessing to Shinami and her turning him down. On their way home, Banri decides to end his friendship with Coco, due to her lasting infatuation with Mitsuo, and despite Coco's objection, he leaves her. The next day, Linda notices the tense atmosphere between the two. But whenever she inquires about it, Bonry confronts her about not telling him that they had previously knew each other. Linda explains that she said nothing out of fear of confusing him and driving him away, while also admitting her guilt and feeling that she had caused Bonry's accident by not arriving soon enough at the bridge. Afterwards, Coco meets up with Bonry to learn that what happened. But he takes off running due to the revelation that Linda might have reciprocated his feelings years ago, and how her answer would have affected his life. Before he can wonder if having the same accident would let him do things over again, Coco manages to catch up to Bonry and tells him not to leave her, confessing that she loves him. Episode 7 is called Masquerade. Coco tells Bonry that she loves him, but before he can respond, Coco is arrested for stealing the bike that she used to catch up to Bonry. Which is so fucked up. At the police station, Coco is cleared of any charges, and after explaining the reason behind her sudden confession, Bonry reciprocates and the two officially become a couple. The next day, Coco openly expresses her love for Bonry as they walk to school, and their relationship is met with disbelief from Nejigen, and a mild surprise from Mitsuo, who has dyed his hair blonde out of a depression from being rejected. When Shinami comes to greet them, Mitsuo flees, and Shinami says that he has been avoiding her, while explaining the reason she rejected him was because his confession was made at a party. Linda soon appears, and Bonry flees, noting that he has been avoiding Linda since their last conversation, despite her constant attempts to speak with him again. As time passes, Bonry and Coco enjoy their time as a couple, but Bonry continues to ignore Linda, which upsets her and causes Nana to take notice. One day, Bonry is called back to his apartment because of a plumbing leak, but whenever he arrives, he meets Nana again, who reveals that she is his neighbor, and that she faked the leak to get him to meet with Linda. Back in Bonry's apartment, he apologizes for his behavior and the two rekindle their friendship. Just as Bonry gets a call from Coco, who worries that Mitsuo might be in trouble. Episode 8 is called Reset. So, in a flashback, Bonry overhears Linda saying that she does not like him, causing him to ignore her for days. She then apologizes, saying that she did not mean what she said. Bonry forgives her, and the spirit of Bonry reminisces that whenever things changed between the two of them, him wondering if Linda did like him. Bonry goes to check on Mitsuo after a call from Coco, and finds him depressed due to telling Shinami to stay away from him due to rumors about her rejecting him. Deciding to cheer him up, Bonry, Nejigen, and Coco take Mitsuo to an amusement park, but whenever Shinami calls, Coco also invites her to reconcile her and Mitsuo. Coco and Bonry meet Shinami at the station, where after some banter between the two women, they get along and the group spends the whole day at the park, with Mitsuo and Shinami making up. Afterwards, they all spend the night at Bonry's apartment. While everyone sleeps, Bonry texts Linda, who is next door, and they meet on the balcony. After reminiscing about their old friendship, Bonry asks Linda what her feelings for him were in the past, and she responds that she only saw him as a friend. While seemingly accepting this, Bonry blacks out for a moment and yells his desire to go back in time, shocking them both. Linda passes off his sudden outburst and goes back inside. But the spirit of Bonry reaffirms his love and desire to be with Linda, but notes he cannot leave the current Bonry without disappearing. Episode 9 is called With You Again. Coco suddenly falls ill and does not come to school for several days. When she does return, Bonry notices that she is dejected, but she denies anything wrong, until she breaks down in tears and relays to Bonry her feelings that he might one day leave her. Bonry reassures her he will not before they share their first kiss, and the spirit of Bonry, who was observing, comments on a similar situation between him and Linda. In a flashback to the summer of their third year in high school, Linda tells Bonry that she learned that her brother's fiancée was having an affair, and gets him to help her expose it. Whenever the two photograph the affair, Linda has a change of heart and deletes all the photos, and instead confronts her brother's fiancée and tells her she will keep it a secret, but to never let it happen again. Afterwards, Bonry vehemently voices his disapproval of her decision, but apologizes whenever he notices how troubled she is by her own deceit. Bonry confronts Linda by saying she is not alone, and he will bear the lies she knows with her, and will always find her and be there for her, but he fails to reassure her whenever she asks. In the present time, Bonry and Linda meet and talk, where Bonri mentions Coco is sick again, while Linda mentions her family and her brother. When Bonri shows that he does not remember she had a brother, a saddened Linda leaves, but not before she uses the words he used to comfort her in the past to encourage him to be there for Coco. The spirit of Bonri, who witnesses this, regrets that he did not confess his true feelings for Linda in the moment she sought reassurance from him, and notes that it is too late for him. However, the next morning, the spirit of Bonri awakens to find himself back inside his physical body. Episode 10 is called The Mirror. So Ghost Bonri, having awakened back in his physical body, feels the urge to see Linda. He slips and falls, hitting his chin on the floor as he does so, though. He returns to being new Bonri, and sees in the mirror Coco gave him that he has a cut on his chin. Despite not being a serious injury, Bonri feels ill. He discovers the hidden picture of Linda and himself is missing. He tries to go to the hospital by himself, but Nana finds him and takes him there. On the way home, he tells Nana that he had the wrong idea about her, and that she is actually really nice and not a whore. I had that, but still. On the way home, he tells Nana that he had the wrong idea about her. She listens with her usual cool attitude. Once home, she passes him off to a waiting Linda, who accuses her of beating a Bonri. Nana tells Linda that she only helped him and leaves Linda and Bonri by themselves. Linda takes care of Bonri for a while, feeding him water and medicine. Bonri reflects on his conflicting emotions he experiences about Linda and Coco. Coco arrives with a bouquet of roses and accuses Bonri of cheating because he's alone in an apartment with Linda. Bonri and Linda are taken aback until Coco reveals she's kidding, tossing the roses aside. Tootie-kun and Mitsuo arrive and jokingly argue over who caught the bouquet and will get married first. Coco assures everyone present that she was really kidding, and that she knows that Bonri would never cheat on her. She goes a little over the top about the subject and gets chided by Linda, who tells her to cut it out. Coco, in turn, chides Bonri for not telling her that Nana lives next door, but forgives him anyway. She also thanks Linda for taking care of Bonri, but Mitsuo suspects she is not being honest about her true feelings. They begin to argue, but Linda stops them for Bonri's sake. Coco admits that having another woman take care of him before she could get there did make her a little jealous, though. Linda admits that Nana took care of him first. Everyone discusses summer vacation plans and decides to go to the beach together. Later that night, Bonri awakens and finds Coco still there and watching over him. Coco apologizes for not taking care of him properly and making a fuss whenever he was not feeling well. She becomes depressed, telling Bonri that she could never be a good girlfriend. Bonri gives her a reassuring hug and asks if she's not entirely of her own cold yet. She assures him that she couldn't have come and seen him if that were the case. She admits that she wanted to go to the beach only with him, and asks if he will take her whenever he's better. She further states that it doesn't have to be Paris, referring to the ideal first-time location. Bonri promises that he will take her once summer vacation arrives, though. Episode 11 is called Trouble Party. So we have Bonri and Coco ride the train and discuss Coco's new festival club nickname, Robo Girl. So named because she looks like a robot whenever she dances. They look forward to the Awa Dance Festival and the beach trip they have planned. Bonri worries about whether Coco is the one who took the photo of Linda and him from his apartment. They meet up with the rest of the festival club and discuss the preparations needed before the festival. Afterwards, Bonri speaks with his upperclassmen and asks for advice about his beach trip with Coco. Whenever they find out that Bonri only intends to take her by train for a day trip, they tell him that a classy girl like Coco won't be happy with a low-budget, simple trip he has planned. They advise him to get a job and make some money. It's like, dude, get a fucking job. Later, Coco tells him that she doesn't want him to get a job because it would mean that she wouldn't get to see each other as much. Coco offers to pay for both of them on their trip. She tells him that she wants to spend as much time as she can with him, and admits that she worries that what he's doing whenever they're not together. She says that she knows she is awkward, overbearing, and annoying, but says that she's learning to hold that stuff back. Coco then tells Bonri that she wishes she could shrink him down so that she could keep him in her front bag for safety. Oka-chan walks up and says hello, then announces that she is on her way to her part-time job. Oka-chan advises Bonri that her employer is looking for more people, so they follow her to the upscale cafe where she works. Coco, though, forbids Bonri from working. Bonri visits Nana to pay her back for the cab fare and bring her cookies. Upon finding out Bonri needs money, Nana invites him to be a waiter at a weekend party. She also insists that he bring Mitsuo with him. Mitsuo resists the idea until the tea club tries to recruit him for a questionable employment. On the night of the party, Bonri tells Mitsuo that Coco had wanted to come over, but that he told her that he had to work on a report. At the party, Bonri finds himself dressed as a maid. The party host offers Mitsuo an extra 10,000 yen to wear nothing but a flesh-colored Speedo, which he accepts. That's so fucked up, though. While waiting on partygoers, Bonri sees that Linda is also working at the party dressed as a devil girl. Meanwhile, Coco is unable to contact Bonri as he's not carrying his phone with him at the party. It is also revealed that Coco indeed had the photo of Bonri and Linda. And she's the one that took that. Episode 12 is called Don't Look Back. Bonri Tada is enjoying working as a waiter at the party, along with Nana, Mitsuo, and Linda. Meanwhile, Coco has texted Bonri numerous times and is becoming concerned that he hasn't answered. Some of the guests see Bonri and Linda together and insist on taking their picture. The two of them get carried away and strike several provocative poses just as Coco, who has been coming to look for Bonri, arrives. And since she throws a drink in Bonri's face and slaps him. Linda tries to apologize, but Nana stops her and Bonri takes Coco away to the fitting room. Unable to talk for long as he is still on the job, he gives her the key to his place and tells her to wait there for him. Coco leaves and Bonri continues to work, but is concerned about the relationship. Once the party is over, they receive their pay. Bonri tells Mitsuo that his salary might have lost its usefulness. On the way home, Bonri checks his phone and is shocked to discover that Coco has been texting him all day. He hurries home to a dark apartment and is relieved to find Coco waiting for him. The couple apologizes to one another and Coco returns the picture of Bonri and Linda, much to his surprise. He admits that they were former classmates and that he had been in love with her. He then goes on to tell Coco that his feelings for Linda return sometimes in flashes. Coco hugs him in response and says that all she wants is for Bonri not to remember the past, with Bonri understanding until the couple reconcile. The next morning, Bonri tells Linda that he wants to talk with her, beside the river. He asks if she loved the old Bonri. She replies that she only thought of him as a friend. Bonri then tries to rip the picture of them together, with the ghost of old Bonri looking on and saying no. He drops the picture, which Linda then picks up. Bonri gets to his feet, tells her to pretend that they were just strangers, as he wants to cut ties with the past. Linda realizes that Coco is bothered by her being a part of his past and says that she understands that what they are doing is the right thing. She then rips the picture into pieces, surprising Bonri. The next morning, Coco and Bonri take a picture together, forming new memories for just the two of them. Episode 13 is called Summer Has Come. As Ghost Bonri watches, Bonri dreams about whenever he was in the hospital and met with Linda, and about the message he's supposed to pass along to a friend. Later, the festival club gathers at the Awa Dance Festival and prepares to perform. Almost everyone is in a jovial mood, but Coco is experiencing severe stage fright, knowing that she can't dance. She tries to run to the restroom, but Linda points out that she's been there about 30 times, and that her urge to urinate is a result of her nervous condition. The festival is about to start, so the other club members start to abandon Coco where she sits. Linda then suggests they teach the first years about that. That turns out to be the club performing a special dance as they circle around Coco and Bonri. Bonri joins the circle, and soon Coco does too. With everyone now ready, they successfully perform in the festival. Afterwards, Coco and Bonri enjoy the festival together and get ready to watch the fireworks. Ghost Bonri watches nearby. lamenting that he still loves Linda and that Bonnery has rejected the feelings he left behind. He vows to become an evil spirit and curse Bonnery with unhappiness. It suddenly starts to rain, forcing Coco and Bonnery to seek shelter. Later, Bonnery receives word that the Festival's Club camp has been canceled. He then reflects on his summer activities have been so far canceled or interrupted. He sees Coco get out of a cab in front of the building. So he waits by the elevator to surprise her. As the doors open, he does a peekaboo greeting. The occupant, however, turns out to be Nana, who punches him in the face and leaves him lying on the floor. Coco arrives and announces that she is going to make yakisoba for them. Bonnery is excited, but Coco insists that he sit blindfolded with his hands in his pockets while she cooks. It turns out that she is only feigning cooking, having actually brought pre-prepared yakisoba with her. The blindfold slips, allowing Bonnery to see what is really going on. Coco is embarrassed and insists it was all a joke. Later, on an evening walk, she admits that her family maid prepared the yakisoba. They stop and sit in the park where they discuss Coco possibly enrolling in culinary school and her family's upcoming vacation to Barcelona. Coco tries to kiss Bonnery, but he pulls back and walks away. Later, he wishes he could go ask Coco to not go to Barcelona and stay with him. He sadly wonders if Coco will leave him someday, and nearby ghost Bonnery vows to make him even unhappier. Evil spirits, people, evil spirits. Episode 14 is called Ladies Talk. So, Turi-kun calls Bonnery and tells him that he heard Bonnery was lonely. He offers to hang out, but Bonnery already has plans with Coco. As they discuss their wish to hang out with Mitsuo, Coco arrives and overhears the conversation. She is suspicious until Bonnery hands over his phone and she discovers it is Turi-kun, to whom Bonnery is speaking. Finding out Mitsuo may have a girlfriend, she formulates a plan to determine her identity and enlists Bonnery's and Turi-kun's help. They start by watching Oka-chan's house, thinking that she is the most likely candidate. Oka-chan discovers them. So Bonnery tells her that they're just visiting her. To their surprise, she tells them that she's free to hang out. And when asked, she admits that she's not seen anyone and that she hasn't seen Mitsuo since summer vacation started. Oka-chan invites them in, where they observe that the house is empty except for Oka-chan's room. She explains that her family had moved away and that she will live alone while she finishes college. Coco admits that she's jealous of Oka-chan. Oka-chan replies that she is worried about living on her own for the first time. They reaffirm their decision to go to the beach together. They all go to the place the film club hangs out. But before they get there, they observe Mitsuo and Linda walking in together as if on a date. To allow Mitsuo and Linda some privacy, they decide to go elsewhere. Later, Coco arrives at Oka-chan's house with a bag full of swimsuits. The two of them try the swimsuits on and discuss Coco and Bonnery's relationship. And Coco tells them that Bonnery is resisting her kiss in the park. She admits that she never feels they are in the mood when she and Bonnery are alone in his apartment. Oka-chan points out that Bonnery probably resists because he wants to know Coco. Show Coco how much he cares for her. Coco tells Oka-chan that she wishes to spend more time with Bonnery at his apartment. She admits that she questions whether Bonnery really loves her and is afraid he will disappear someday. She wonders if Bonnery is trying to find himself, and if he does so, will he leave her? Coco then states that the next two swimsuits she pulls out of the bag will be what she and Oka-chan will wear to the beach. They turn out to be school swimsuits. Oka-chan likes the idea and films them wearing the swimsuits, though. Later in Bonnery's apartment, Mitsuo and Bonnery discuss their swimwear choices. Mitsuo wishes he could have invited Linda and wonders where her hometown is located. Bonnery lies and says he doesn't know. But he does. Episode 15 is called Accident Beach. So, on the way to the trip, the group encounters several mishaps on the journey. It starts off with Coco and Bonnery meeting Nijigen at the wrong place, and delays in picking up with Shinami and Mitsuo. Heavy traffic slows their exit from the city. It rains despite contrary forecasts. The group arrives in the middle of the rainstorm. Needing to use the restroom, Coco gets out of the car in her swimsuit, and the rest of the group follows. The rain stops, and the group enjoys their beach day, though. With Nijigen feeling exhausted, Coco instead drives the car back. Along the way, Bonnery falls asleep despite his best efforts to remain awake. Shortly afterwards, Coco becomes tired and falls asleep at the wheel too. Moments before the car swerves out of control, Vonnery wakes up and hits the brakes, causing the car to come to a complete stop after colliding with a guardrail. Episode 16 is called Wake Up Call. The accident gives Shinami a bloody lip, dents the car's bumper, and damages the guardrail, though. The group is escorted back to the city by the police. Upon arrival, Coco gets slapped by her father, and the trip to Barcelona is cancelled. On the next day, Banri, Mitsuo, Shinami, and Nijigen meet, with all of them taking responsibility. Banri feels the most at fault for not keeping Coco awake. Banri goes to Coco's home to talk with her, finding Coco unwilling to get out of bed. The accident reminds Coco that she has acted immaturely despite being an adult. Banri tells Coco that despite needing to grow up, she needs to remain true to herself. Coco then tells Banri about her dream where she is riding in a car with Banri and at a place that where they were told to stop the car. Coco gets off of the car and drives away, which makes her believe that if Banri should regain his memories, that he would fall in love with Linda instead of her. Coco's father enters the room and orders Banri to cook some ramen, while Coco returns to bed. Episode 17 is called Return to Yesterday. So, Banri arrives at the Golden Time restaurant, where the festival club is setting up for the gathering of the fireworks extravaganza, and the club members are strangely welcoming and eerily nice, which sets Banri on edge. He figures out that they're trying to comfort him after his and Coco's supposed breakup. But whenever Coco arrives, they clear up the confusion, only to create a new misunderstanding with former fourth-year members. Linda also arrived late, and Linda, Coco, and Banri discuss the accident. Banri asks about how she knew it was. Banri asks about how she knew about it since she was out of town, but Linda answers vaguely. Linda then asks if Banri will be going home, and he says he will. So Linda brings up that there will be a class reunion and wonders if Banri will come. After Coco makes a decision for him, Coco and Banri talk about how Banri is ready to face his past after their frank fight earlier, and Coco admits that her love for Banri has grown more after that fight and encourages him to return home. The next day, Banri is on a train home. Meanwhile, Shinami had invited Coco to help her unpack and invites Coco to stay overnight. But while Coco denies that she was able to help, she was there to help and will not stay, she relents. Shinami then reveals how she respects how amazing her love for Banri is. Elsewhere at the club where Linda works, Mitsuo and Linda talk about how she cleans, and Mitsuo asks if telling her about the accident was a bad thing. Mitsuo then discovers that Linda will also be gone like Banri will be, and then sees her train tickets going to the same place as Banri. But whenever he presses her a bit about it and tries to be playfully flirt about it, Linda storms off. The next day, 2D, Coco, and Mitsuo are enjoying a treat in a cafe, and Mitsuo and 2D discuss what they think they know about Banri's true situation with his amnesia. When Mitsuo asks Coco about it, she deflects the question and focuses on other things, leaving Mitsuo to brood on his newfound knowledge. Episode 18 is called My Hometown. Coco enters Banri's apartment alone after going through his mail because she misses him so much. After throwing a tantrum and sniffing Banri's pillow, like the creep she is, she tries to get a hold of herself by doing The Exorcist. Nana catches her in the act, then suggests that Coco do that during Nana's next show, but Coco refuses. Coco then tackles Nana in a stranglehold, trying to get Nana to not tell Banri that she went to his room and did what she did whenever he wasn't there. Coco agrees to do anything else to help, and Nana takes her up on the offer, using her as a guinea pig for another idea for Nana's act. Meanwhile, at the Banri home, Linda and her brother show up to go to the class reunion. During the drive, Linda spots the mirror Coco gave to Banri and determines that Banri is very nervous. At the high school, Banri becomes so nervous about not having his memories that he won't move, so Linda tricks him into entering. They arrive and everyone puts on a red or blue shirt with name tags to play a dodgeball game rematch whenever Banri's team beat Linda's team on a hotly disputed technicality. After Linda uses the same technicality to win the game, the class catches up at the party with many of his classmates, warmly welcoming him despite him not remembering any of them. They then start relating stories of the old Bonnery, much to his embarrassment. Whenever their sensei arrives and relates another characteristic of old Bonnery, Bonnery feels even worse. But soon after taking pictures with former classmates, he feels bitter. Later that night, Linda and Bonnery talk on the way home and how Linda is happy that Bonnery has finally accepted his situation despite all the friction between them, as well as how Linda has come to accept their situation as well. Bonnery then goes to take a picture at the bridge where he fell, then experiences a vision of the accident. He tries to save the ghost Bonnery, but ghost Bonnery forces himself to fall. The new Bonnery drops his mirror and breaks it, wondering if his memories are returning to him. Episode 19 is called Night in Paris. So Bonnery discusses the event of Ghost Bonnery falling from the bridge with a doctor, who can do nothing more than provide a sedative for him. On the train ride back to Tokyo, Bonnery remembers how Ghost Bonnery tried to take over his body before and now wonders why Ghost Bonnery has given up. When Bonnery returns to Tokyo, he recalls how his mother gave him her ring from her youth to give to his girlfriend, but Coco and the others meet him before he can think more about it. That night, they have to return home for dinner for Bonnery. They have a return home dinner for Bonnery. He notices that Shinami has cut her hair. Mitsuo then asks Coco and Bonnery a favor to film the festival club and a ploy to get closer to Linda. Later, Bonnery and Mitsuo talk about how they knew about Mitsuo and Linda, and Mitsuo convinced Bonnery of his past with Linda. But while Bonnery considers answering him honestly, Mitsuo backs off. Back at Bonnery's apartment with only Bonnery and Coco, Bonnery apologizes to Coco for breaking their friendship mirror, then considers the impact of giving Coco his mother's ring. Before he can do anything, though, Coco gives him a piece of art that she made for him, then tells him that she wants their night in Paris right now. But several things get in the way, and nothing ends up happening. Coco realizes that she can be herself with him and realizes that Bonnery is definitely in love with her now. Much later, Mitsuo gets permission to film the festival club. But Linda is unhappy and Mitsuo never gets a chance to talk with Linda, as she avoids him. Afterwards, Linda indicates that she wants to talk with Bonnery, and Coco goes to distract Mitsuo in the meantime. Linda and Bonnery argue about Mitsuo coming to the club, and they end up discussing it calmly later on. Linda reveals their dinner together, but also how she's been unable to simply accept Mitsuo's interest in her, and that she had been keeping her distance from him, which is why they had this argument. After they finish their talk, Shinami arrives and reprimands Bonnery about his friendliness with Linda, how it's inappropriate and because she's the girl Mitsuo likes. When he tries to clear the misunderstanding, she only gets angry at his remarks and lashes out towards him and walks away, leaving a dejected Bonnery alone. Episode 20 is called His Chasm. Bonnery catches up with Coco to share everything that happened. Coco and Bonnery talk about Shinami, and they both realize that they are okay with their former liking others. Bonnery then considers giving Coco his mother's ring at the moment is perfect, but realizes he didn't bring it. Back at his apartment, Bonnery considers when can he give the ring to Coco and wonders who can he talk to about it. In the morning, on the way to school, Bonnery runs into Nana and tries to talk to her during the train ride. He realizes that she isn't in the mood to talk about anything and that she falls asleep on Bonnery. At the school, Tutti, Coco, and Bonnery talk about Mitsuo's strategy to keep filming the festival club. When Mitsuo and Shinami arrive, Shinami convinces Coco to go with her to get a Belgian chocolate. Bonnery notices Shinami ignoring him since last night. Mitsuo, Tutti, and Bonnery discuss Mitsuo's failure to get any closer to Linda. Mitsuo points out that Koshino seems to be protecting Linda from Mitsuo, but they realize class is about to begin and hurry away. After class, Bonnery meets back up with Coco. They go to the Woodstock Cafe. Woodstock. I forgot about that in the anime. Where they talk about their immediate future, both happy about the pleasantness of their days lately. At school the next day, while Bonnery is considering how to give Coco his mother's ring, He is accosted by the Tea Club girls, who discover his plan and make him extremely nervous about it before they try to recruit him again. Coco arrives for them to go to the festival club practice, though. Banri and Coco see how fourth-year Koshino seems to be protecting Linda from Mitsuo. Later at the train station, Banri and Coco talk about everything. At the performance, Mitsuo renews his focus on filming the festival club, while Linda points out that Coco isn't nervous as she tries to help the fourth years. During the performance, Banri has a mental break as his past self reasserts itself and he freaks out and runs away. Linda and Coco go after him, though. Linda finds him later as Banri tries to figure out what's happening to him. When Linda brings up Coco, his new self returns, but now Banri fears that the old Banri is going to take over him again. Episode 21 is called I'll Be Back. Like the Terminator, I'll be back. After the incident at the Awa Festival, Banri feels losing himself as his memories from before his accident return. Coco tries to comfort Banri by having dinner with his friends at his apartment as he plans to tell them about his background and other recent troubles. Things go sour, though, whenever Banri tries to invite Shinami, who's still angry at him, but she agrees to come nonetheless. At Banri's apartment, Shinami arrives earlier as planned as she plans to have a serious conversation with Banri before the others arrive. Shinami reveals that she's confronted Linda and demanded that she tell what her relationship with Banri is, but Nana interrupts. Shinami gets scared upon seeing her until Linda claims that it calms the situation, and instead of getting mad, she tells Shinami she can talk to her about her problems, much to Shinami's surprise, as she drops her hostile behavior afterwards. Shinami confesses that she felt relieved after seeing Banri being friendly with Linda because she wants Mitsuo to notice her, as she reveals she fell in love with Mitsuo, but regrets that she rejected him, and also whenever she changed her appearance after cutting most of her hair, and she regrets all of it. She states that instead of blaming herself, she lashed out at Banri for no reason, and that she tearfully apologizes to him for her earlier rudeness. Following her outburst, Shinami asks Banri to film her in her dejected state. As Banri intends to tell Shinami about his past with Linda, Banri is possessed by his former self and begins to call out for Linda. He storms out of his apartment, but not before telling Linda and the others to not tell Coco that his memories are returning, not realizing that Shinami's camera is still recording. The next morning, Coco refuses to accept the ring Banri has presented to her and breaks up with him. Episode 22 is called Paradise Lost. Stunned by Coco's words, Banri waits for Coco, where she rejected him, hoping Coco would come back. Hours pass and Banri meets Coco's father, who drives Banri home. Along the way, Coco's father reveals that she knows of Banri's anti-anxiety medication and that she asked him about the reason someone would be taking them. Later, Banri encounters Nana again. Banri confides in her about his recent dilemma. The next day, encouraged by Nana's words, Banri plans to confront Coco. Afterwards, Banri meets Coco, who is in a cheerful mood and apologizes for the previous day. However, after meeting with their friends, Coco nonchalantly declares that she and Banri are broken up, much to the shock and bewilderment of Banri and the others. When Mitsuo tries to defend Banri, Coco silences him and lashes out before leaving abruptly. Shinami tells Banri that Coco may have seen the clip from Banri's anxiety attack. Staying optimistic, Banri later informs Linda and the president of the festival club of his breakup with Coco. Linda doesn't take this news very well, though, as she and Banri have a heated argument, with Linda scolding Banri for giving up on Coco. But he angrily blames Linda for her failure to meet at a bridge before his accident, stating that she's the cause of all this mess. However, she takes offense to that and argues that she did arrive, but didn't get there in time and pushes him to the ground, where she had a meltdown, blaming herself for not getting to him in time and wishes that she could redo it again, as she still felt guilty ever since and should have told him how she felt. Mitsuo arrives afterwards. Banri reveals to Mitsuo his past relationship with Linda and apologizes for not telling him. Linda admits being in on it as well. This leaves Mitsuo angry and questions why he didn't say anything to him, but is interrupted whenever Coco appears as she hands over a letter of resignation from the club to its president. Banri cuts her off, causing her to leave with Banri calling out to Coco. Mitsuo is left feeling hurt and betrayed at Banri for concealing his past with Linda, though. Episode 23 is called Last Smile. Banri confronts Coco. Coco explains the reason why she decided to resign from the festival club is due to Banri's unwillingness to be in the same place as her. Banri reveals to Coco that his memories from before his accident are returning, and he would eventually return to his former self, and his memories since the accident would disappear. Coco reveals that she still loves him, but only broke up with him because she would not be able to bear him forgetting her. She makes him promise that if he still remembers her, they will stay together forever. After Banri thanks Coco for all they had shared together, the two agree to become friends, and Coco revokes her resignation from the club. Coco promises Banri that she will stay by his side as long as he doesn't forget her. Afterwards, Banri tries to patch things up with Mitsuo, who had not contacted him since he revealed to Mitsuo his past with Linda. Meanwhile, with their school festival fast approaching, Banri's condition worsens, much to Coco's fright. Nejigen, bewildered by his friend's actions and feeling left out of what is happening, intends to have a get-together to revive their friendship. While waiting for Coco and Mitsuo on the street, Banri suffers another memory break and fails to recognize them whenever they arrive. He runs away, calling out desperately for Linda, who luckily comes to his side and snaps him out of it. After returning to his senses, Banri plans to return to his hometown, feeling certain that his memories and former self will return. During their school festival, though, the school club receives support from the private school committee thanks to Mitsuo. Meanwhile, Banri reconciles with him, who tearfully tells him that he finally learned about his memory loss and what he's been going through, swearing to Banri that he has his full support. During the Awa dance performance, Banri narrates how moments and feelings are born and later die. Afterwards, Banri states that he indeed returned to his former self with his memories since his accident now lost. And the last episode is called Golden Time, name of the entire anime. So upon losing his recent memories, Banri returns to his hometown. After fiddling with the notes he made for himself prior to the returning of his former memories, Banri opens his email account and discovers that someone had been sending emails to Coco under his name. Linda and Banri seem to have returned to their easy friendship, with Linda spending Christmas with the Tada family. He contemplates Linda's reply to his feelings and the happenings that occurred between them since his accident. Coco arrives at Banri's home. Banri first mistakes her for Shinami. Coco hands Banri a DVD and his cracked mirror case, which Banri believes is Coco's, and returns it to her. After asking for directions to the bridge where Banri fell, Coco leaves. Going back into his house, Banri finds Coco's unbroken mirror and realizes that it isn't his, and his memories of Coco come flooding back. As a result, Banri runs after Coco to the bridge where he meets his conflicted former self, who isn't happy to see him. As he lashes out at him for pretending he didn't exist despite being by his side and ignoring his own feelings for Linda, but agrees that nothing can be done about it. As he attempts to leave, Linda appears to give a reply to his feelings with a yes. Happy to get his answer, the former Banri makes amends with his current self, hands Banri the ring he had dropped at the bridge days before, and passes on to the afterlife. Afterwards, Banri embraces Coco, and the two recall their promise that as long as they remember one another, the two will stay together for the rest of their lives. They profess their love for one another, and Banri presents his ring to Coco, which she gladly accepts. Meanwhile, it's revealed that Nejigen was responsible for sending Coco the emails as Banri because he wouldn't abandon Banri as he had before at the cult compound. This motivates Coco to not give up on Banri either. Taking advantage of Coco's motivation, Shinami edited the recording Banri made of himself and burned it to a DVD, which she asked Coco to deliver to Banri. While watching his recording, Banri thanks Coco for being by his side. Banri later returns to Tokyo and attends university with his friends. His relationship with Coco is still intact. Mitsuo and Linda are shown flirting while Coco and Banri kiss, with Coco wearing the ring Banri had given her. So an all's well that ends well anime. Very romance-focused anime. Pretty good anime overall. We got some of the characters right here. Got their voice actors. Might as well throw those in here for this. So Banri, Banri Tada, he was voiced by Makoto Furukawa in Japanese and Mike Himoto in English. Koko Kaga was voiced by Yui Hori in Japanese and Christina Kelly in English. Mitsuo was voiced by Kaito Ishikawa in Japanese and Adam Gibbs in English. Linda was voiced by Ai Kayano in Japanese and Melissa Milano in English. Nejigen was voiced by Takahiro Hikami in Japanese and Gareth West in English. Chinami was voiced by Ibuki Kido in Japanese and Caitlin French in English. Koshi was voiced by Takayuki Kondo in Japanese and Cortland Johnson in English. And Nana was voiced by Satomi Sato in Japanese and Kira Vincent Davis in English. And with that, hopefully that was a decent breakdown for you. And we will see you guys on the next one. If you have any requests, I will definitely try to get them together and put out for you guys. If nothing else, podcasts will be available, and Noe and I discussions will be up throughout the week. We will see you guys on the next one.